Today on What They Ate, we're diving into the scorching sands and spice-laden air of Arrakis. That's right, we're talking about Dune, and the diet that fuels its famous inhabitants, the Fremen. The Denis Villeneuve's cinematic reboot of Frank Herbert's 1965 classic not only snatched the box office, but also revived our cravings for futuristic feasts. The novel is widely regarded as a sci-fi classic that changed the genre. Set a casual 10,000 years after all artificial intelligence, computers, and thinking machines have been destroyed in a war known as the Butlerian Jihad, take that, ChatGPT, the human race is now scattered across the universe, and a different feudal house leads each planet. At the center of Dune is Arrakis, a harsh desert planet that is extremely inhospitable to human life, and the only place of the galaxy where humans can harvest spice, a psychoactive drug that gives users a longer lifespan and the ability to safely navigate interstellar travel, making it the most precious substance in the entire galaxy. According to Dune lore, there are more than 200 selected foods and plant types on Arrakis, from date palms to melons, desert hair, coffee, medicinals, and more. So ladies and germs, fasten your still suits as we dive into the diet of the Fremen, according to the author of Dune, Frank Herbert. Drawing inspiration from Islamic, particularly Bedouin, and Buddhist traditions, Dune author Frank Herbert created a fictional race of people that would have seemed super exotic back in 1965. Yes, before Sprinter Vans and Instagram, Herbert was globe-trotting through the pages of his fictional universe. Fremen divided themselves into small collectives called sieches. Each siege lived in an underground structure, usually carved by a combination of erosion and labor. In these sieches, the Fremen found ways to make do in an extremely inhospitable environment. The ordinary Fremen siege lived on simple, healthy fare and a largely nocturnal lifestyle. This was in order to avoid extreme temperatures during the day, which could exceed 154 degrees Fahrenheit. Fremen usually ate 2 meals a day, a lighter one eaten on rising at sunset, usually consisting of bread, cheese, and some fruit or juice. The donkeys that carried the family's belongings also provided milk, which was made into butter, cheese, and kvetch. What's kvetch, you ask? Great question. It's a milk drink that's left out to sour until it becomes a kefir-like concoction with a taste that punches you right in the taste buds. So next time you enjoy your fancy fermented drinks, remember, the Fremen were the original trendsetters of gut-friendly sips. Moving right along in the Fremen's culinary odyssey, we've got a lineup of fruits that would make any desert dweller's mouth water. In the cozy confines of their siege palmeries, the Fremen grow dates, figs, and apricots. But it's not all local produce on the menu, no sir. Enter the exotic Portugal and the show-stopping Paradan melon, both jetting in from the lush landscapes of Caladan, courtesy of the Atreides clan. We're talking about a dye-pink flesh, desert-worthy delicacy that makes your standard cantaloupe look downright pedestrian. Now, the Fremen aren't just munching on fruits the fresh way, no sir. They turn their bounty into preserves, jazzing them up by pickling, or go the old-fashioned route, drying them out for a perfect chewy snack to take on a sandworm ride. Resourceful? Absolutely. Delicious? You bet. And for a real slice of siege life, in the third book of the series, Children of Dune, Frank Herbert gives us the scoop on what the Fremen might whip up for breakfast. Picture this, a simple gruel with dates and nuts blended in liquid skimmed from partially fermented spice. It's the kind of meal that says, yes, I live in a desert, but I still know how to brunch. In the desert nights of Arrakis, the Fremen's diming schedule was as unique as their ecosystem. No munching through the night, just a swig of juice or a jolt of coffee post-nap to keep the sand out of their eyes. But as dawn cracks the sky, it's supper time, and it's not for the faint of heart. The Fremen slap down a hearty feast that could fill the stomach of a Padishah emperor. The spread, roast meat or hearty stew, some sturdy veggies, fresh fruit, spice bread, and of course, spice coffee. Because how else are you going to start your day or end your night? Leafy greens? Good luck finding those on this water-starved planet. Instead, the Fremen get down to earth with root crops that ask for little more than a sip of water, like the mysterious Tabara root. Don't ask too many questions. It's local fare. These robust roots are the toast of the siege gardens, tended by the nimble hands of Fremen kids. When it comes to protein, desert hare and shucka bird takes center stage, either roasted to perfection or bubbling away in a savory stew. Speaking of stew, let's talk about the Fremen's multitasking pesky marvel, spice flatbread. This isn't just a side dish, it's a plate. Yep, you heard that right. Rip it open, pile on the stew, and when you're done, eat your plate, soaked in delicious gravy. It's eco-friendly dining at its most extreme. When it comes to dessert on Arrakis, the Fremen know how to turn up the sweetness amidst desert austerity. And one of their crowning glories, the mighty Tabara cake. Tabara isn't your typical cake. It's like the ultimate survival dessert. Dense, hearty, and packed with enough energy to fuel a trek across the dunes. Made from tabaroot, that enigmatic root crop that just keeps giving, this honey cake is no light fare. It's mashed up, mixed with honey and a chorus of spices. It is then pressed into a dish like they're forging a culinary bar of gold. But wait, there's more here. Before this hefty confection sets, it's sprinkled with a treasure trove of sugar, dried seeds, and a bit of crystallized fruit, adding some sparkle and crunch. Once it's cooled down, the Tabara is sliced into tiny triangles, because on Arrakis, even dessert must be portion controlled for maximum efficiency. Served up with some fresh fruit and a steaming cup of spiced coffee, it's the kind of dessert that makes those tough Arrakis nights a little sweeter. So next time you think about complaining that your take is too dry, remember the Fremen and their Tabara, turning simple ingredients into a dessert fit for a messiah. Resource management is the most necessary virtue in Fremen society. On Arrakis, water is incredibly scarce. Every drop is precious, and the Fremen view limited available water as the property of the tribe. The Fremen wear still suits that allow them to recycle their bodily fluids, including moisture from respiration and perspiration. That's breathing and sweating for those of you who slept through biology class. It creates a stable hydration loop by routinely filtering sweat and urine into drinkable water. Disgusting. The system allows a Fremen to survive weeks in the desert without any external source of fluids. Fremen are strictly required to wear a still suit at all times. This reclaimed water was an essential part of their diet in the desert. In fact, when a Fremen dies, their body is rendered down to water for the good of the tribe. Injured enemies were quickly executed and drained of their water. Only those deemed guilty of something horrible would be spared this treatment, as their water would be seen as spiritually unclean. That's right, no bad juju here. It was a tradition for blind or disabled Fremen to wander into the desert, sacrificing themselves to avoid taking up more water. This careful concern for every drop of fresh water has kept the Fremen alive in impossible conditions for generations. Even in a world where water is scarce and resources are limited, there's still plenty of room for coffee. Coffee is featured prominently in the book. Characters even have heirloom coffee services passed on from generation to generation. The main character in Dune, Paul Atreides, also known as Muad'Dib or Lisan al-Gaib, played in the new film by Timothée Chalamet, has a coffee service described in the book as having fluted alloy of silver and jasmium. Sounds pretty good. In the Dune Encyclopedia, published in 1984, non-canon, there is a recipe for making coffee in the style of Dune. Note that Fremen grind is described as being very fine, and users are instructed to add sweetener to the finished product. The instructions are as follows. Use 175 milliliters of water for each cup of coffee. Place boiling water in the top section of the drip coffee pot. In the center coffee basket, place 15 grams of Fremen grind coffee, very fine. Allow the water to drip slowly into the bottom container. Remove the top and basket and add sugar or honey to taste, and then add 5 milliliters of spice for each cup, but not if you're using melange. Then use cut melange in the marked container. This means you, Daba. The Fremen diet offers us a fascinating lens through which to further enjoy the never-ending universe of Dune. Craving more culinary histories from fictional worlds? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to join us on more historical culinary expeditions. Because remember, everyone needs to eat.